Hello, this is Winston of happierabroad.com. Right now I'm at a lake. I'm parked by a lake on the border of New Mexico and Arizona, and it's just outside of Alpine, Arizona, and it's very beautiful and peaceful here, as you can see. There's the lake. And I just wanted to talk about something that's been bothering me and annoying me for a long time, which is that, why is it that, there's so many people in the counterculture movement and the conspiracy movement, and they always talk about all these problems in America, but none of them ever advocate just getting out of America. I mean, there are so many toxic problems in America, and we can go on and on about them, but nobody ever simply suggests getting out of America, and going someplace better where the environment is much more friendly and authentic, and where people are more down to earth, and where it's easier to make friends, and where women are friendlier and more social with men, and where they aren't as stuck up, and where they're more down to earth and sweet and feminine. And there's just so many cultures outside of America that are like that. But I've always wondered why nobody says, that you can get away from your problems in America, a lot of toxic problems, by just leaving America. I mean, it's like a giant ship is sinking, yet, and a lot of people know it, yet nobody ever suggests getting off the ship. I mean, that is bizarre. So it's like there's this assumption that no matter how bad things get in America, leaving it is never an option. For some reason, there's some type of assumption like that. And I don't know why, because people assume, and it's not just the conspiracy movement, but people in general in the mainstream assume that no matter how many problems you have, leaving America is never an option. It's not even worth considering. It doesn't exist. All you can do is stay in America and deal with all the toxic problems and environment and culture. And that's just sad, because it's like most Americans don't know that they can have a better life overseas. They don't even know that exists. It's not even an option they consider. It's just not. They just assume it's not possible, or they assume that everywhere is the same, and because there's this assumption that America is the best, so all its problems are even worse or the same everywhere else, which is not true, of course, but there's this assumption among mainstream Americans to the point where they just don't even think about it. And it's just weird that all these alternative thinkers in the conspiracy movement, like David Icke, Alex Jones, Michael Sarian, Jordan Maxwell, David Wilcock, etc., they talk about how dysfunctional and insane and toxic society is in America. But then they say that the rest of the world is the same. And when they do that, they insinuate that there's no point in leaving America because everywhere is the same. And that's not true. I've been to a lot of other countries where it's not like that, and so have many other people, and you can find them all on our forum at happierabroad.com and read the testimonials too, and you'll see that. So this assumption is definitely not true, but almost nobody, virtually none, talk about it. I mean, even America's biggest critic, Noam Chomsky, Professor Noam Chomsky, who wrote Manufacturing Consent, and is pretty famous in the counterculture movement. I mean, he has written books about what's wrong with America and U.S. foreign policy, etc., etc., but he does not even advocate getting out of the country as a solution. Hardly anyone does. It's like the biggest taboo, more taboo than anti-Semitism, it seems. Which is really weird, because it shouldn't be. I mean, if a ship is going down, the most logical solution is to simply get out, right? You would think. I mean, that would be the common sense solution, yet there's a mental block. People don't think they can get out of America. It's a taboo even to be talking about it, because probably it sounds unpatriotic and anti-American to think about that. And also a lot of people in the conspiracy movement, I mean, they love America in terms of the people and the land. They just don't like the government and the forces that control the government, like the New World Order or the global elite or whatever, or the Illuminati or whatever. That's the domestic enemy they see, but they love America and the land and the people. So perhaps that's why they don't ever want to leave America, no matter what happens. But it's just really odd that people like Alex Jones would rant fervently every single day about how terrible things are getting in America, but they never entertain the idea of even leaving it. Not even once. That is strange. And, there's a lot of benefits to leaving America. There's social benefits, romantic benefits, psychological benefits, economic benefits, and health benefits. Obviously, this is supposed to be a short video, so I'm not going to get into detail about it, so I'll just try to be concise and summarize it. The social benefits are, I'm talking about most other countries. The social benefits are that in most countries, people are very down to earth, not just older people like in America, but younger people as well. Like you go to Europe, Russia, Ukraine, South America. The young people, including the young women, including beautiful young women, are very down to earth, and they're very easy to connect with. It feels relaxed, that they're not as cliquish. They don't have that paranoid, uptight wall where they think everyone they don't know is a creep. It's not like that. So they're much more open and inclusive and social. So there's just a natural sense of social connection overseas that you don't get in America. Because in America, people are cliquish. They're paranoid of strangers, and if you go out alone, you don't meet people. You can't just go out in America and meet people. It doesn't work that way. Everyone is huddled in a clique, and you have to find your own clique and limit your social life to that clique. And so it's very limiting and exclusive, what you have in America. And, let's see, I hope I have enough battery. Okay, it's good left. And, social life in America is very cliquish, and it's not relaxed, and it's not open, it's not inclusive, and you just don't feel a sense of connection with other people in America because, you just feel this exclusiveness, this paranoia, and unfortunately, this is especially the case with young women. So, if you're a heterosexual male and you like to meet girls, America's probably the worst place you can be, because girls are the most defensive and paranoid, and I guess a lot of Americans assume that women are stuck up and paranoid everywhere, but that is not true. I can swear to you, no way, Jose. If you look at the pictures and the videos on Happier Abroad, I posted so much proof that women overseas are a lot more social than men. A lot more social to men, and it's not hard to meet them. They're down to earth, they're easy to connect with, and so women overseas are like a different breed than in America. They're not as spoiled, and they don't have this really, how do you say it, this really artificial, self-absorbed personality where they just blot everyone out, and you can't connect with them because they don't want to connect with anyone, and of course this is taboo. Nobody wants to talk about it either. So that's a romantic benefit overseas, is that it's a lot easier to meet women in general, not just for dating, but just for friendship, just socializing. interaction is just much more natural and smooth overseas. It's much more relaxed as well. And let me tell you two big secrets that most Americans don't know and is never talked about. Okay, these are two big secrets that I can guarantee you are true for the most part. One is that in America, it's virtually impossible to find a down-to-earth, a beautiful, attractive young woman that's down-to-earth at the same time, with a down-to-earth personality. You're not going to find that. I mean, it's almost impossible. Every single attractive woman in America is very self-absorbed, very snobby, very exclusive, and not open or down-to-earth at all, and so, and, you'll see that, everywhere in America. But in other countries, it's in most other countries, it's very easy to find an attractive young woman who's very beautiful and even model-like, who has a down-to-earth personality. And for example, in Russia and Ukraine, good-looking women who are down-to-earth are everywhere. I swear, they're everywhere. They're common. They're the norm. And a lot of guys are mesmerized when they find this out. They fly into Russia or Ukraine, and then all these beautiful women that dress well and are feminine and are sweet and intelligent and educated, they're also down to earth and easy to connect with. And that blows them away because you can never find that in America. No. So I mean, that is a big secret that most Americans probably don't know. I mean, nobody talks about this kind of stuff. It's a taboo to say that women in other countries are more friendly or approachable. It's just a taboo. You just don't talk about it, no matter how true it is, no matter how much you experience it. And so when guys discover this, I mean, Russia is like a dating paradise to them, and this explains why. I mean, you can't. I mean, there are beautiful women everywhere, and they're down to earth, and they're so easy to connect with, and you just don't know that that's possible, until you leave America. So that's the romantic benefit. There was another big secret I was going to tell you. Another is that, how in America it's kind of a taboo to flirt with women? Well, women you don't know, to hit on them or to try to pick them up or to try to chat them up. I mean, it just seems like it's a taboo. It's considered creepy and violating if you flirt with women. I mean, yeah, you can flirt with your wife, you can flirt with your girlfriend, but you're not allowed to flirt with women you don't know to try to meet them and to try to pick them up. I mean, that's considered inappropriate in America. And everyone in America knows that because but so in America, flirtation is a taboo, but in most other countries, it's not like that. Flirtation is actually very normal, very well accepted, and it's not considered creepy. I mean, in a lot of countries, especially the poorer countries, where women are very feminine, and the women actually like being flirted with. I mean, they like being hit on. It makes them flattered to know that a guy is interested in them and that they find them beautiful. I mean, when you flirt with them, they giggle and blush. So flirtation is a positive thing in other countries, whereas it's a negative thing in America. And in other countries, flirtation creates energy. It creates excitement. It creates some type of chemistry. I mean, women just enjoy being flirted with in most other countries, such as Russia, Latin America, some parts of Asia, the Philippines, Thailand, and in some European countries too. Flirtation is just a natural thing. I mean, it's not creepy, it's not inappropriate. So the big secret here is that flirtation is positive in other countries. It's a good thing. It's acceptable. It's fun, too. And it's natural. But in America, it's creepy and negative, and it's considered a transgression. In fact, the very act of trying to ask a girl out in America that has not signaled an interest in you is considered creepy and transgressive. I mean, the very act of just asking a girl out feels violating, like you've crossed a line, and it shouldn't be that way, because in most countries it's not, and it should not be that way. I mean, if a man is interested in a woman, I mean, he has a right to be interested. I mean, why is that a creepy thing? I mean, I don't. Only in modern America it was like that. I mean, even in the past, America was not always like that. For example, in the 70s and the early 80s, flirtation was much more common and acceptable, and a guy could flirt with a girl and ask her out and charm her and seduce her, and it was a normal thing that guys did, and it has been like that for thousands of years. So I don't understand why modern America vilifies flirtation. It seems like flirtation became a bad thing in America. It became creepy ever since the 1990s, when women started becoming more and more cold and anti-men. But in the past, flirtation was even normal, even in America. And if you ever watch any TV shows from the 1970s, I mean, the women, you'll notice that the women look a lot more wholesome and innocent and sweet, too. So even back in the 1970s and prior to that, in America, women could be very beautiful and attractive, yet very down-to-earth and sweet at the same time. I mean, that was more common back then, but not today, For example, if you look at the 70s show, one of my favorites was Bionic Woman with Lindsay Wagner. I mean, in the 70s, Lindsay Wagner was so beautiful. I mean, she looked like a model, and yet she was very sweet and down-to-earth and charming and sincere. And you can see that when you watch the old episodes of the Bionic Woman from the 70s, the original one, not the remake, by the way. I mean, she's an example of what I mean. I mean, a woman could be very beautiful but down to earth, and that was common in the 70s, even in America. Anyways, I'm getting long-winded here. So, okay, so psychological benefits of going overseas. The psychological benefit is that people aren't as judgmental and shallow or competitive overseas, so you don't constantly feel insecure and self-conscious overseas like you do in America. You don't constantly feel like you're being judged. For some reason, there's something about American culture, and it's hard to explain. You just don't feel relaxed in it. You don't really feel accepted for who you are. You feel like you have to be something. You have to act fake and stuff, and the whole thing is just really dysfunctional and inauthentic. And in most countries, it's not like that. I mean, everything feels much more balanced, and people are more down to earth, so you don't feel so self-conscious about yourself. You feel more relaxed. You feel more whole and accepted, and this explains why, if you go to England, for example, the blacks and the Asian guys there, they don't have this inferiority complex like that the blacks and Asians have in America. I mean, they're just not used to feeling like crap and discriminated against over in England, because people, I mean, just. In England, it's just not as racist and competitive and toxic as in America. I mean, there are problems similar to America in England too, but they're just not as extreme as in America. So, a black guy or an Asian guy you find in England is going to be much more down to earth and not have that chip on their shoulder or that inferiority complex. So, so you just feel better about yourself. It's better for your mental health. I mean, if you check out the World Health Organization statistics, I mean, America is the most mentally ill country on the planet. I mean, it has the highest rates of mental illness. It has the highest rates of obesity, cancer, heart disease, diabetes. So America is the fattest and the sickest nation in the world. as well as the most mentally ill. And that's a very toxic society. Why would you want to live in that kind of society? Why would you want to raise your kids in that sense, so yeah, that's the psychological benefit. And the economic benefit would be that the cost of living in most countries is cheaper than in America. So because America, the prices have been rising a lot, in the last few decades, and it's just really expensive. Everything seems so expensive in America, and so that makes you have to work harder and make more money, which means you have less freedom to do what you want if you have to work all the time and pay bills. So it's ironic that America is less free than other countries in terms of the cost of living, because it's so expensive. But in most other countries, the cost of living is cheaper in general, yes. And I'm not talking about like Paris or Tokyo or Switzerland. I mean, there are some countries that are expensive, but most countries are a lot cheaper for cost of living. So there's an economic benefit there. And when you have lower cost of living, you have more freedom because you have less of a financial burden to worry about. So in a sense, that gives you more freedom. So you get more freedom abroad in most other countries in that sense, and that's another big street secret they don't tell you in America. So there's an economic benefit, and also healthcare is a lot more affordable, and it's a lot cheaper. And everyone else in the other industrialized nations of the world has universal healthcare. I mean, they are covered by a government health program, so that they don't have to worry about going bankrupt from medical bills. If you look it up, America is actually number one. The number one cause of bankruptcy in America are medical bills. And so it's a very big crisis in America because medical bills, are just so extreme and astronomical. I mean, they run into the thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, it's just crazy. The healthcare cost is out of control, and in other countries, even in Canada and England, people don't have to worry about that because they're covered. If they have to go to a doctor or a hospital or an emergency room, they don't have to be bankrupt from it like you would in America if you're not fully covered. So, the healthcare system is a lot more sane in other countries outside America, and you don't have to worry about it. And even when you have to pay for the healthcare, the cost is a lot more affordable and reasonable than America. So yeah, that's another cost of living issue. Oh, and the health benefit. Yeah, the last one was the health benefit. There's a lot of health benefits overseas because the food is not loaded with excess sugar like most American food is. And it's not loaded with all these GMOs and stuff which really screw up your DNA and your body. As you know, America is the fattest nation in the world. It's the sickest nation in the world. According to all the statistics you can read online and on my website. The food is just overloaded with excess sugar, and that gives people diseases. It gives people cancer, diabetes, obesity. It's just really bad for you to have so much sugar. And America is screwed up because the food manufacturers care more about profit than about people's health. And that's screwed up when you put profit over health. Only in America would that be. It's just so greedy and so messed up. A country that puts profit above health is really fucked up. And you should not live in a country like that. That's just wrong, totally wrong. But in Europe and Asia, they don't do that. They keep the sugar minimal. They don't give people all this unhealthy food. In America, it's really hard to eat healthy. Everything is loaded with too much sugar, oil, and the meat has too much growth hormones, and and GMOs, which is genetically modified organisms. There's just too many toxins and toxicities in American food, and so no wonder it's the sickest nation in the world. So it's not really healthy. It's not good for your health to live in America because it's hard. It's expensive to shop at organic health food stores every day. And it's an uphill battle because you have to constantly watch what you eat, and it's just, I mean, eventually you're going to eat something bad, and with too much sugar, it's just almost unavoidable in America because bad, unhealthy food is everywhere. It's almost impossible to avoid, and it's too much work. And this is a secret weight loss method that the weight loss industry never tells you about, which is that once you go overseas, I mean, many people find that once they go overseas, they start to become thinner and healthier because the food is healthier. And that is a secret weight loss method that the nutrition industry and the dieting industry never tell you about. It's another one of those secrets that's not talked about, that you can lose weight just by going abroad and eating healthier food that's not laced with so many chemicals and sugar and toxins. So yeah, the food in other countries is healthier, and once you go abroad, you'll start to notice all these things. And so, like I said, these are 5 main benefits of living abroad and going overseas that are not talked about for some reason, and most Americans don't know about. There are other benefits too and advantages of living abroad, but these 5 are the key ones that I tend to focus on. So I just wanted to give you an overview of that. And so sorry if this is so long-winded, but I get carried away sometimes when I make a point. So yeah, I mean, there are so many benefits of going overseas, and it's weird that nobody talks about them, and so I guess that's good for me, because it means that my website and my forum has little to no competition. So, I mean, that's why my website is successful, because, not just because I'm a good writer, but also because there's no competition in what I'm trying to do. So I guess to me that's a good thing, that's a blessing. Because when you have no competition, your website can be successful and profitable, and you can monetize it, and you can be a leader in your niche. So I guess that's a good thing for me, but it's a lot of responsibility, because it's like I'm one of the few people carrying this message of being happier abroad. Whereas everyone else wants you to stay in America, and no matter how bad things get, no matter how unhappy you are, no matter how depressed you are, everyone else tells you to stay in America and fix yourself, or fix society, or fix the system. I mean, which is futile. I mean, it doesn't change anything. Even if I change myself in America, I mean, it doesn't change the society or the way things are. It doesn't change that people are not as open or authentic, and it doesn't change that women are not friendly with men and not very social with men, and that they're really stuck up. I mean, those things aren't going to change by staying in America and trying to change things. I mean, you can't change other people. You can't change a society, especially. It's just futile, and we all know that. So it's like nobody has a real solution to all these problems in America. There's a lot of people that describe them really well, but nobody has a solution. They all tell you to stay and face it, when the most logical and obvious solution is to simply get out and go to a saner, healthier, and more friendly country. Very simple. So why does no one talk about it? It's very strange. Anyways, yeah, that's my rant today, and guess I'll show you the nice lake one more time around me. It's a very nice lake in Arizona, at the border of Arizona and New Mexico, and it's really good to be out in nature because it helps you to get away from the toxic, society and American culture. And when you're out in nature, you feel more at one and more at peace with nature, and it's a more of a spiritual experience, especially for me, since I love nature. I love fresh air and mountains and lakes and trees, and it's really my thing. It's a very spiritually purifying experience, a cleansing experience. So it's good to get away once in a while, and you know, if you can't go overseas, then go out in nature and experience the land. I mean, America, one good thing about America, you know, is that it has a lot of beautiful nature and national parks that you can explore, and probably every state in the U.S. has some good nature you can explore and get out in, and do a road trip, you know, in the back roads, see some scenery and natural areas, natural parks and mountains and lakes, forests, beaches, deserts, whatever. Yeah, go out and see some nature, do a road trip, and it's quite rejuvenating. I mean, since the culture and society is really toxic, especially in the cities and the suburbs. Yeah, so if you can't go overseas, this is the next best thing. And I especially would recommend the Southwest USA, especially the states of Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. I mean, that has got to be probably the most beautiful area in America, and it's just so gorgeous. Fresh air, lots of beautiful nature. So I'd highly recommend exploring the Southwest USA sometime. It's no wonder why so many Europeans come to the Southwest to see the nature, because it's very spectacular. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my rant today and learned something, and take care, you all, and talk to you later. Bye-bye now.